actually tanked this account because it was just about at A, and I tanked it intentionally. And then pretty much, and but I will say I did have a talk with Crawler, and he did tell me by tanking it, I'm doing myself a disservice. You know, he said, you know, you're not racing against the competition that's going to make you grow and get faster and become a better driver. You're just driving in a place where you feel comfortable, and you're not going to grow just feeling comfortable. And I will say, you know, driving in our lobbies, I think can make you better, but also I think that it's not the best preparation because we're so courteous to one another that people don't understand that aggressive driving and dirty driving are not the same, and just because a person is driving aggressive doesn't make them dirty. And because, you know, when you do finally have aggressive driving in a daily race, you're like, oh my God, they're dirty. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And, you know, not to speak to anyone's name, but I feel like a lot of times guys get so caught up in what everyone else is doing on the track. Oh, he's dirty, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. That they're not focused on, they're no longer focused on their driving. Like, I can't drive and think about what everybody else is doing. Like, I can only focus on my car. So, yes.
Hey there, friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good to see you all today on this fine, fine Saturday. I hope it's nice where you are. We have great weather today. We have a pretty sweet Learn with Lead session coming up. Just real quick, want to do my typical saying hello to everybody here. So we got Edward, P1, excellent job. Number 2 in P2, she did it. Number 2 is number 2. Very nice. BL, good to see you. And almost happy birthday to BL. That's quite close. We are only hours away from BL's birthday. And then Chris Wood, you absolute stud, sending 5 gifted memberships to Crawler, Buns, Cedric, Island, Dubs, all got it. Very cool. Viking Racer, good to see you. Saragon, awesome to see you as well. Rounding out some of our top 5, top 6 there. Let's see, anybody else? We got G here. Very nice. G, good to see you. Moto, good to see you as well. Jay, awesome to have you here, bud. And I am all caught up. Everyone's saying hi. Okay, without further delay, we are going to bring in Mr. Nugs here.
Hello?
How are you doing there, friend?
I'm doing well.
I'm good. Awesome to have you here, man. Yes, sir. Oh, there it is. I'm hitting the wrong thing. Goodness gracious. Okay. My fault, my fault. So, let me get over here. I'm gonna be good at this one day. I think I'm gonna be good at this.
You have to be.
There we go. Haha, there we are. All right. Sorry about that delay. I think everyone can hear Nugs now, and I can hear you, and everyone is good.
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Everybody.
Nugs, you are.
Yes, the Guardian is in the building.
The Guardian, yes. That is a name that I've heard people give to you, which we'll have to get to that here in a little bit. I think so you are a favorite, you are a friend, Nugs. We appreciate you hanging out with all the different streamers. You're part of RSR. You guys have awesome community over there, which I feel like, what is this, like the 6th or 7th guest I've had from RSR? You guys are doing the Learn with Leds like nobody's business. Which I greatly appreciate.
I think you are an unofficial RSR coach and member. You just don't know it yet.
I just don't know it yet. Is that right? Well, I'd be
Yes.
open to that. That's fine with me. Not a problem. No problems there. Well, let's take a little bit of time and get to know you. We got a bunch of people in and ready to hear from you and ready to see us get on track. But before we do the track thing, let's get to know Nugs a little bit. So, tell us a little bit about your racing, video game racing background. Like, is GT7 or Gran Turismo like the only thing you've done, or do you have more in your history there?
So my history goes all the way back to Atari 2600.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Night Driver.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if anyone knows what that looks like, but it's really, your car is just the hood of the car, which is just a block, a rectangle, orange rectangle.
Yeah.
The screen is completely black, and you have some dots in the middle of the screen saying that is the road. And you are on a little joystick that has a button and a stick, not a steering wheel, not a controller, but a little stick. Yeah. And you're just trying to make it through on to the end in a specific time. So that was my very first foray. I grew up on pole position. Daytona USA at Dave and Buster's. Yes. My first foray into Gran Turismo was actually Gran Turismo 3. Okay. On the PS3. Mm-hmm. But I have not played Gran Turismo since then. Oh, okay. Until Gran Turismo 7. So I didn't know anything about sport mode or daily races or anything like that. Yeah. And to be quite honest, when I first purchased Gran Turismo 7, I had no intentions of playing it online. I bought it solely just to play offline. And then I got into the sport mode by accident. I actually found it just exploring the menus like, hey, what's this? And I did it. So I've been in sport mode now for about 14 months, so just a little over a year. Okay. So yeah, that's where
Interesting.
we're at.
Yeah, very cool. G on the chat here says he says he's been sim racing since the 1970s from Atari days. Yeah, I remember we had pole position. I had pole position growing up as a little guy, and that was
Yes.
pretty fun. That was good stuff. So excellent, really neat. So you played GT3 and you must have played GT3 on, let's see, it was PlayStation 3. So that's, you probably did that on a
Yes,
controller,
PS3.
correct?
Yes, I did. On a
Okay.
little black controller.
Yep, right, gotcha. Memory cards, is that memory card days still, or were
Memory
we?
card days.
Yeah.
Memory card days, and you had to the modem, you had to attach it. The modem, you actually had to buy a modem and attach it to the back of the PlayStation.
Oh wow, that's crazy. Yeah,
So it
that's
was
incredible.
not built in.
Gotcha. So, so tell us a little bit about your sport mode journey then. So you stumbled across it, and then I imagine you started playing it a little bit more. And how did that go for you to where you are right now? Which I guess we'll tell the folks right now you're an A-ranked driver.
Yes.
So how has that journey been for you?
So the journey has been very unique. I'd like to say I'm a default A driver because I feel that there's so much more to learn about the car and driving in sports mode. So you know, I stumbled into sport mode, was playing it a little bit, and the very first person, I didn't necessarily meet him, but his name stood out because I am an 80s baby, was Eric B. the Realist.
Yeah.
And when I saw his name, of course, I'm thinking Eric B. and Rakim, Eric B. for president. I was like, I wonder if that's really Eric B., but I know it's not.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, the name left a really deep, indelible impression for me. So the very first place I ever raced was Grand Valley Highway.
Tough one.
And we actually did it in reverse.
Even tougher, in my opinion.
I do believe it was Group 4 cars at the time. So that was the very first place that I ever raced. However, Red Bull Ring Red Bull Ring was the first time I ever got a top 8 finish. And speaking of my inexperience of Gran Turismo, only up until I had met Eric B., the Realist community online, I didn't even know that I could adjust the brake balance or the TCS. So I was just driving the car the way, however it was set up.
Whatever the default was,
Yeah, whatever the default settings were. So, the journey has been fun. With our lobbies that we do, our open lobbies, it's been very beneficial in me learning how to navigate some things. But overall, I went from, E to D, D to C, C to B. I will say that getting out of B has been the biggest challenge. Yeah. And that I feel that it's so competitive because people are making less and less mistakes the closer you're getting to A. Yeah. Not only are they making less mistakes, but they're actually faster and more consistent. Yep. So, when you make a mistake, it feels like the mistake is compounded because of other people's consistency. So,
gotcha. Yeah.
Yes.
Understood. Yeah. That's interesting. I tell you what, I think a lot of people can relate to that kind of that journey. I do feel like it was the hardest jump was to get from B to A, even harder than getting from A to A plus, for me at least. It was definitely that because there is a wide amount of skill level in B, and I feel like if you can't get a really good time and you're starting mid-pack or lower, then you just sort of kind of get tossed around a little bit, and it can be really difficult to kind of separate yourself from all that. Now, another challenge that you've been experiencing recently, I guess the last couple years, you have a wheel and pedal set, but you are unable to use it, correct? Currently,
That
because
is correct.
you have had an injury a while back.
Yes, that is correct. So about a year ago, at work, I tore my ACL, tore my meniscus, tore the proximal tendon of my hamstring.
Wow.
So me using a wheel and brake and pedal set is extremely painful. So I have elected not to do it. I have tried it once, just to give a little test to see if the wheel was set up properly, but it was a no-go.
Yeah.
I do intend on trying it sometime soon in the near future, just to see how far I've progressed in regards to my physical health.
Sure.
But yes, I am on controller. Also, around the time that I started playing this game, I actually dislocated both middle fingers on both hands.
Sounds awful. Oh my goodness.
Well, that's what happens when you're 50 years old and still playing basketball with guys that are 16, 20 years old.
Right.
So dislocated both middle fingers. So the way I hold the controller is a little bit unique, which does not, just out of habit and muscle memory, does not allow me to drive the car in manual.
Yeah.
So I do drive on controller, but I also drive automatic. So where some cars like to be short shifted, I lack the ability to do that. So I'm pretty much just on the default settings and trying to give the car the best run that it can give me at, within the default settings.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I tell you what, I mean, you've got some obstacles, and it seems like though you've decided I'm gonna overcome these rather than say, whatever, just quit. So I think that's cool, man. It's not always perfect, right? We don't always have it all set up the way we would want it or choose for it ourselves, but it's up to us to handle what, the cards that we've been dealt, and our responses are what's key, right? It's not about focusing on the negatives, it's about focusing on, well, how do I respond to this the best way possible?
Exactly. I am a strength coach, and I always tell my athletes, adversity is not unique to you.
Yeah.
However, your response to that adversity is.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So everyone's going to face that adversity, but what are you going to do when you face that adversity?
Yeah.
And I get it. In the grand scheme of life, my little obstacles I'm facing in Gran Turismo, they're not really obstacles, but just to be honest, I don't like to use the word obstacles. I like to say that there are opportunities to learn how to do something differently.
There you go.
Because you have to learn how to do it differently to be successful. So I don't ever necessarily look at something as being an obstacle, but more of an opportunity.
Cool, man. That's awesome, dude. Tell you what, it's been awesome to get to know you now for a while. I mean, you and I have had discussions before. For those who don't remember, Nugs was on Erase the Mistakes a while back during the week, probably maybe a couple months back now, where we watched his replay. And Nugs has been awesome about interacting with us on this channel in regards to, the essential racing strategies parts of things. And you mentioned to me a while back how watching that series, it really changed your approach quite dramatically as far as to the dailies. Maybe dive into that with us a little bit, and what have you really taken away from the Essential Racing Strategy series?
So I think that the name of the actual series is very appropriate, in that the essentials is just another way of saying that these are the core competencies that you're going to have to be successful on the racetrack. So in those core competencies of understanding what is a race line, understanding how to be consistent, understanding where to brake consistently, understanding where to brake early, understanding how to get back onto the gas on an exit, understanding how to navigate in the midst of traffic, understanding, I think in one of your latest episodes, you talked about, especially drivers feel that, when they lose a position, instantly a switch goes on, like, I have to get this position back and I have to get it back now. And how a lot of times that will lead to them overdriving the car. At least it has led for me to overdrive the car.
No, it's very common. Yeah.
And compound those mistakes, and instead of me just losing one position, I may have lost 3 or 4 because I've overdriven the car and went into the grass or crashed out or whatever.
Right.
When I could have just been consistent, and had I just been consistent driving my race, then that would have put me in a more advantageous position to actually recover that position. So I will say that, one of the largest things that I've learned from watching your series is I'm not racing. I'm driving the car. I'm not racing the track. And in order for me to drive that car, I had to drive it within my skill set, not within someone else's.
Yeah.
So, I try not to get caught up in the emotion of racing, but just in the flow of driving my car, because it actually slows down the race for me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's good. And I tell you what, I think that, hey there, Viking. I do need to say hi to a few folks. So Viking King, good to see you. Viking Racer, good to see you. SD, awesome to see you here as well. NGP Racer just popped in. Richie, good to see you. Good to see you folks coming in. We're talking with Nugs, getting to hear the stories behind Nugs and what he's been doing in sport mode and GT7 here. So we're about to get on track here in a little bit, but before we do that, I want to say, just on a personal note, Nugs, your feedback for the Essential Racing strategies has been pretty instrumental in me continuing to want to do it, honestly. Those episodes take a while for me to put together. In the vicinity of 20 hours now it takes cumulatively. There's a lot of time, and so are they wildly popular and getting thousands of views? No, but to me it's still awesome to see the time that I'm putting in impacting somebody for the better in this game, and that means a lot to me. So I really appreciate your feedback. And for those who don't know, Nugs actually was featured in episode 5 as an example of pretty much putting the top priority in practice like nobody else that I've seen in a long time. And then Viking Racer was there as well as part of that. Both of you guys were showing how it gets done, honestly. And I think what I've seen from you, Nugs, is just integrated how it gets done, and I appreciate that from you, man.
Thank you. I will say that in Racing Essentials, it has actually given me a second name listening to you, because you always said guard the apex like your life depends on it.
Yeah.
So I've gotten the nickname of the Guardian from me guarding the apex, and actually Stumpy gave me a new nickname this past week, called me the Taker of the Apex.
Yeah, I think.
But
okay.
What I have learned is guarding the apex, but also knowing when not to defend.
Yeah.
Just because I'm in front of you doesn't mean that I have to defend my position, especially if it's early in the race and you're a faster driver. I'm not going to defend you for 4 laps consecutively. Because that will only A, frustrate the driver behind me.
Yeah.
B, cause him to potentially try to be a little bit more aggressive in making a move.
Yeah.
And C, increase the chances of us actually tangling up and causing bad blood or getting crashed out.
Could be, right, exactly.
So I will say that even in guarding that apex and defending that apex, there is a method to the madness where I don't always guard it as vigorously,
right,
to allow for a clean pass.
So I'm getting a zoom. I'm zooming into your car here. I think on the back of your car it says "The Last Guardian." Is that a reference to that?
That it is. That it is. That it is.
That's
the
great.
Last Guardian of the Apex.
So I think, and this livery here that you have, it has some of, my goodness, this I'm sorry, it's giving me
No
trouble
worries.
here. This whole livery here that you've got, this is done by our friend Philness, right?
That is correct.
It is. It is beautiful.
Phil is incredibly talented when it comes to his livery designs. He always, the thing that I noticed about Phil is that I would say his signature is that his colors are normally bright, but there's also like a metallic glossiness to them that is unique
Yeah.
to his liveries. So when I see, it's interesting because again in our community there's so many talented livery creators,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to be able to look at different liveries and know who probably made that livery.
There's a certain look to them, right?
Exactly. I could tell the difference between a livery made by Philness, and I can tell the difference between a livery made by Noodle and one made by Monkey King and one made by OZ Pug.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can start to see some of their uniquenesses and tendencies, or their quote-unquote signature designs.
Gotcha.
Like what I like to call them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I'm sporting an Aussie Pug right now, and Philness has actually made me a couple liveries as well, which I greatly appreciate. And yeah, props to all those guys who are doing that. And the fact that, you know, if it's well known enough to end up getting put on the livery of your car, yeah, that's a reputation that you have for sure. I love it. Le Guardian. It's beautiful. Really great.
Thank you.
Dragon Joey, good to see you. All right, well, let's keep things moving along here. Let's go ahead and get together on track here, and let's talk a little bit about Fuji and how we want to approach it. So right now, you've said your time is a 41.1, but you have said you haven't put a whole lot of time into it yet.
No, I've not put a lot of time into it.
Yeah, so sometimes, you know, when I have a guest, they decide I'm gonna put hours and hours into my quality time, and other times, you know, it's not able to be like that, and that's fine. But what we're gonna do here, friends, especially for those who maybe haven't seen a Learn with Lead before, good to see you, Sarth Vader. Excellent to have you here. What we do is we break down the turns, we break down the lap, we break down exactly what we're trying to accomplish in the track. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to take it very methodically, make sure we understand exactly what we want to accomplish in each turn. Maybe, you know, executing it might be a little tougher than that, but that's what we're trying to do. So right here is about my breaking point for turn one. Maybe a little bit down, a little bit further, but not too much. What I'm trying to do then is bash down all the gears. You know, we're going from top gear all the way to working our way to first, really. And
so a little bit before the 100 board.
Yeah. And then we're going for a very late apex. And as I say that, I might as well just mention right now, we'll stop here for a second. This course is full of late apexes. If you look at the track map, you have maybe 2 turns that are 90 degrees or less, I should say, and that's it. Everything else is just supremely tight, which makes this a very different kind of course. You know, sometimes a course will have maybe less than a handful of late apex type corners, but this one has, you know, a majority is like that. So that's why we have nearly, you know, we're approaching a 180 degree turn here. So that's why we're doing quite the late turn in, and right about here is where we're down at first gear, and then really we're trying to clip this apex and already be pointed towards the right. What we don't want to be doing is, you know, back where you are right now, Nugs, we don't want to be clipping the apex a little bit earlier than where you are at the moment, and we're facing, you know, the empty sky over to the left there. If we do that, then we end up having to wait for the car to turn, therefore waiting to get on the throttle. We want to be on the throttle right about where I'm at right now. And if we end up being on the throttle later than that, that means we have taken the turn way too late. We've tightened our entrance way too much. So that's general information there, but turn 1, there's a lot of time, honestly, in this lap. So if we are entering too tightly to this turn, then we're scrubbing a whole lot of speed. So I do want to go back, if you don't mind going in reverse here for a little bit. I do want to demonstrate, what can typically be not so great of a line. So, and I know we don't spend a lot of time backing up, so you're going to see our reverse skills here, friends. So let's get to that, oops, sorry. Let's get to that 50 marker. All right, it's a 100 marker. So often what can happen, and maybe some of the friends in chat, you maybe can relate to this. Instead of turning later, like beyond my driving marker, they turn here at that white line right there. And so they're diving towards the apex. What this does is, I'm hitting the apex now. I still have to turn so much in order to make this corner, right? So I gotta turn. By the way, this is where if we have the right line right here, this is where I'm starting to be on the throttle, okay? I have to wait to be on the throttle now, way out here, basically, in order to make the corner. So that's tenths, honestly. That's multiple tenths right there that we want to make sure we're gaining, not losing, okay? Any questions or thoughts on that, Nugs?
No.
Okay. So I know that's basic principle stuff there, but just want to make sure that everyone gets that. Can't be afraid to track out wide. We definitely want to make sure we're out there. It can get a little slippy, so we want to be careful with how much we're steering. Okay, this next left turn it's one of the faster turns on the circuit. I'm gonna stop here at the braking point. So the braking point, especially in the Ferrari, is right about here. It's a little bit later than some of the other cars.
So a quarter before the 50.
Mm-hmm. And we're probably only, it's maybe 75% braking maximum. It's probably not a full brake. The key for this turn is to get all of the potential weight of the car on the outside tires, the right tires. We want to turn in a little bit later, so we're turning a little bit after the 50 board. And depending on how well you end up turning, you may trail brake into the apex. You may end up coasting towards the apex. But essentially, this is the line that we're trying to take, because once we get to this apex, we want to be pointing just like that.
So I will say,
yep.
I do like this line, and this is pretty much the line that I try to take.
Okay.
But a lot of times I end up much further out to the right.
Okay. So you're missing the apex a little bit, is what you're telling me?
A lot of it.
A lot of it. Okay. So that might have to do with your braking point. That might have to do with how much you're turning. There does seem to be, especially with the Ferrari, I think I have experienced it too. If I don't turn enough, then the right tires, the right side tires don't dig in as much, and I think I lose some of the potential grip that is there. So okay. We'll fool around with that when we start going around the track. We'll start to try and feel it. So, your lap times, in the past I've seen them. You're a quick dude, so there's not going to be too much different probably to the racing lines that we're talking about. But there might be more. Often there is more that the car is capable of than what you're actually asking of it, if you follow me there. So
trust me, I'm trying to get all the meat off the bone.
Yep. Okay. So real quick, and I was watching Radion's stream the other day, and he said, "Give me general tips for this track, Led." And so what I told him in chat was, I said, well, let's see, how did I word it? This track is all about late apexes. If you need to be on the throttle at or before each apex, and you need to be able to make the turn. If you are going too wide, then it probably means your entrances are too narrow, essentially. So that's what we're about to see after this next fast right-hander is a whole lot of late apexes, wide entrances that feel slow but are actually the quickest because they enable us to keep our miles per hour high. So when we're exiting this one, we can't be afraid to go a little wide here. Okay, Chris Wood, sounds good. We need to be... The key for the penalty marker here is to have the left tires come back on the pavement before the end of this curbing here. So that's actually the track limit there, is where I just went. So we need to get back. But the other key is to, as soon as before we even get onto the pavement, if we've actually tracked out that wide, we need to be turning right before we get all 4 tires on the pavement. Otherwise, we end up way too wide. We should be able to be this tight at full speed right here. We passed that, what's it called? The access road there that we just passed. And we're lifting, actually probably right where you are, Nugs. We're lifting right there. And with that lift, yeah, go ahead.
On this, are you braking at all once you get to this right-hander?
Sometimes.
This fast right-hander? Okay.
Sometimes. My objective is to actually lift and make it that way. But if I end up getting my entrance a little bit wrong, then I end up having to brake just ever so slightly. And I mean like 10%, 15% braking. Nothing crazy.
So quick question. When I have done this recently,
yeah.
You know, I've done this a few times following the Ghost.
Mm-hmm.
I have tried to do it both ways.
Yeah.
Both tapping the brakes,
mm-hmm.
You know, 70%.
Yeah.
And lifting.
Okay.
To me, in theory, lifting would allow me to keep more speed. But for some reason, I find that a little quick tap of the brake mm-hmm. to set the car up for the rotation actually allows me to get through it a little bit faster. So anytime I'm lifting mm-hmm. and just trying to quote unquote coast the car through this turn, my lap times get decimated.
Gotcha. So the other thing I do that we didn't mention is sometimes I'll flip it to third gear for a moment. And that's, so let's talk about this turn for a second as well. So we have, it's like a really big radius 180 is essentially what's going on, right? So we're not talking about a big braking zone here, but when we're talking about something like this, what we want to know, what we want to have in our minds is, where do we want to be the slowest? Where do we have to be the slowest in order to get the most exit speed? And the answer to that for this corner is the middle of the corner. So we're not there yet, actually. We are decelerating at this point because we are lifting. Maybe we're gearing down, maybe we're tapping the brakes. But where we are slowest is right about here.
Right about here?
Yeah, right about here. And sometimes a little third gear helps me rotate the car. Sometimes, and there's definitely, you know, I should mention, there is not a one line fits all here kind of scenario. There are multiple lines that will still be quick. Some of that will have to do with what you're the most comfortable with and what you can repeat the most easy, you know. That's pretty critical. Vizaric, good to see you. Cap, good to see you as well. Thank you guys for coming in. So real quick, let's just, if you don't mind, now let's go ahead and, so we're at our slowest here. So that way when we end up going this part, now we can actually tighten, right? We can tighten towards the inside of the track, and we really want to clip right here. And we've been accelerating now this whole time. We don't want to track out too wide to the left because we need to get to the right pretty quickly. and pretty much, I don't know what you do for braking here, but as soon as my car is pointed this right here like this is when I begin to brake, essentially. It's all about when the car can be straight, essentially, under braking. Because I need max brake for a little bit in order to make this corner, right?
So question, when you're braking for this corner, is that typically where your car is, or are you a little bit more wider to the right, using more the width of the track to turn in later?
I think probably my momentum is carrying me a little bit wider than this.
So you're a little bit more to the left?
Left, yeah, I'm a little bit more to the left usually. Yeah, definitely. As I do want the most miles per hour. I want as many miles per hour as I can coming out of that corner. I've noticed if I'm slow through here, I've lost time already, essentially. So, the key, for me, the key is keeping the momentum as fast as I can, without going too wide to the left, because then I will compromise my entrance to this left-hander coming up. That make sense?
Yes,
Okay.
It does, and it makes sense. It makes sense, but it also addresses something I think that I feel at times.
Okay, what's that?
So in looking at your car is not actually pointed straight.
It is not.
It is pointed to the right.
Mm-hmm.
There are times when I'm making a left-hand turn or say a right-hand turn where I feel that if I come in a straight line, such as this, and brake to get through the turn to get into the apex, I feel that at times I can't carry as much speed as if I attack it from an angle such as where you're at now, as opposed to coming in straight. So I feel that at times by coming into an angle, it allows me to carry more corner speed off of the brake. So, bear with me one moment. So instead of coming in straight, I can come in more in the angle, brake going this direction, and then carry more speed coming around into the turn, if that makes sense.
I think what you're demonstrating there is getting the weight transferred onto those outer tires sooner, and so they actually are gripping better than when you are coming at it straight. I think that's what you're experiencing there, and that just so happens to be that's sort of the nuance about this particular portion of the track, is you have this really fast section that leads up to what is really a pretty tight left-hander,
To be honest, I noticed it a lot racing at Dragon Trail.
Okay. Also quite a few, yeah.
So that section, that right-hand turn that you make before you enter into the depth chicane,
Gotcha.
there I feel a lot more comfortable coming in on an angle going left and then hitting the brakes to turn back to the right, as opposed to just hitting it straight. I feel like when I hit it straight, the car pushes more and I can't get as tight of a turn and make the apex as quote-unquote easy.
Yeah, I think what's happening there is it's a byproduct of actually turning a little bit more. So technically, just so everyone would understand, technically that is slower because you are turning more, but that's actually, you're gaining grip by doing that, and you feel that comfort, I think, which, that turn that you're talking about is funky. It's kind of 90 degrees that turns into like 130 degrees because it continues to turn right before you get to the depth chicane. Yeah, interesting. Well, really, I think maybe subconsciously you're at maybe trail braking even a little bit better when you do that. I'll have to see your inputs when we do that a little bit later on the share screen, but yeah, that's some interesting things. So for this turn coming up, then we're carrying a lot of speed, and we need to, Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Viking Racer just said you're preloading the tires more when you come in from that angle. Yeah, exactly. And I think too, so like this turn right here, it's a serious weight transfer of the weight being on the left side of the car to the weight being on the right side, and that initial load that the outer tires get is pretty serious, so pretty heavy. All right, so we're on the brakes, straight line on the brakes here, and we want to late apex the crap out of this. So we're continuing to brake, continuing to brake, continuing to brake. Second gear, we start to turn, we go into first gear. And what's exceptionally important is when we clip the apex, we're actually already turning. We can see our exit basically at this point is what we're doing. We can see where we're gonna end up going wide, where we're gonna end up to the outside of the track. We're hopefully not gonna go too wide, but that wide entrance that we've just done enables us to get on the throttle right where you are about there, Nugs, or a little bit before that, and end up making the corner, not going too wide. So we're on the throttle, maybe not fully on the throttle where you are, but we're at least starting to be on the throttle there, if you follow me. So this right here, one of the things that is super key is, I'm gonna park it right here for a second. And what we want to be talking about here too is, so if you've just taken that corner right there that we just did, and you end up not having to go as wide as I am right now, you haven't carried enough speed through the corner. Now, it might be uncomfortable to be out here, but if we're talking about, getting to the next level as far as race pace and quality pace goes, this is where you end up needing to be, is way over here. If you end up a car's width to the left of where I am right now, and you're max throttle, that means you probably didn't carry enough speed into the corner, and that means or it could be you didn't get on the throttle as early as you could have, actually. So that's stuff that you want to pay attention to when you are, in fact, okay, Sarth, thanks, bud. We'll see you, man. That's the kind of stuff that we want to notice when we're doing our own quality time, when we're practicing. Okay, I didn't go wide enough. I didn't go as wide as I could have there. What did I do that could be improved? That sort of thing.
What is the track limit for this specific spot?
I have been as wide as over here. As long as I get back, as long as my left tires get back onto the asphalt by this point, we're good.
Left tires have to be on the asphalt there.
Yeah, before the end of the curbing here. Cap says, what blows my mind is that we can have this detailed conversation on how to get the most out of your car on the racetrack for a video game. Yeah. Crazy. I don't know anything about racing, I would assume. It would be the same conversation if you were coaching me in a real car. Maybe, yeah. Although we have some, with the video game, we have some benefits. We can see throttle inputs, brake inputs. We have a lot of tools, actually, that we get to, so. Okay, let's talk about the next section, flat out section here. We're taking our good old time for this portion, making sure we understand the track. So I like to brake just as the Dunlop screen exits my screen, right there.
So you brake pretty early.
Possibly, depends. A lot of that, so this braking point has a lot to do with your exit speed on the previous corner. So if you end up not taking that too fast, then your braking point could be as late as where I am right now. Could be as late as this, and you'll still make the corner. But I've noticed that one corner leads to the next one.
Next one.
And so, yeah, go ahead.
I say that with this specific corner, because it is basically a switchback.
Mm-hmm.
you can have the tendency to drive too hard into this corner, making the corner, but it slows you down so much that you can't carry any speed into the next corner.
Yeah.
So I'll let you explain what you typically do here. But I'll tell you what my aim is to do. I don't always carry it out. But my aim is normally to hit that right apex, actually a little bit more of that right apex, to be able to carry some corner speed into that next left-hander.
Yeah.
But if I come out too wide and I brake too late, I can't hit that apex, so I can make the turn, but I got to slow down way too much.
Yeah, right. Well, a key element for this next sequence, because it is basically a chicane. It's a little abnormal shape for a chicane, but it is one. And it's all about, again, where do we want to be our slowest? That's key for this section. So let's go ahead and talk about this line. So we're braking in a straight line, braking, down to second, down to first. We turn in a little bit later, but not too much, because we do want to dive into this, and we want to make sure that we want to, like, seriously be as much as on it as I am right now. Like, we want to take that much out of this apex. We actually want to commit to that, because we're still not at our slowest yet. This is a weird sequence in where we want to be at our slowest right about here. Now we straighten the car. We're still in first gear. I find that a jolt of first gear in the Ferrari helps right here. It gets you to the next apex pretty quick. But we don't want to dive to the apex. We want to jolt right about here, get up to second, and now we're starting to turn to the left. Does that make sense? Any thoughts on that one?
Nope.
Okay. So we're up to second gear, and we're working our way towards full throttle.
So pause. I now have a thought on that. On that last turn.
Yep.
Where are you hitting the curb at? Are you hitting it at the apex, or are you hitting it a little bit later? Because just now you hit it a little bit later than the actual apex.
On this second part here.
Yes.
Yes.
Right where you're at.
Yeah. So it's a little bit later. The whole reason for that is I want to be able to. I'm gonna get right there on you. This is probably a little bit more to the right than I would be. It's probably more where you are. Let me go ahead and turn a little bit more. All right, so once again, we're at our slowest right about here. We probably are a little more to the left than this even. But I'm not trying to dive to the apex, because here's the thing. This is a corner where there can be a lot of power oversteer. So when we get on the throttle, we don't want to have to turn too much. We want to have turned the car. We're on the throttle, but not fully yet. When I watched the Top Ghost, he is 50% throttle from where I said we were at our slowest. He's pretty much 50% on the throttle through this part until he gets it straighter, and he's on full throttle right about here.
So you don't want to be on the apex where I'm at. You want to be on the apex a little bit later.
Correct, because we're gonna have to wait. If we are where you are, you end up having to turn and wait for the car to get on throttle, or, and this is where I think you use some traction control, right? Not a whole lot, but
I don't.
You don't. Okay.
I don't.
Well, when you end up not using traction control, which is fine because that's technically faster, you're gonna have to wait for that car to turn to get on the throttle. Ideally, so if I've taken it right, I can be starting to be on the throttle where you are right now, maybe earlier.
Gotcha.
Maybe probably even a little bit earlier. And that's huge. This section right here is enormous when it comes to time lost or gained, because of that. And Viking has a good point. There is a little bit of an elevation change. Where I am at, it's a little bit higher, and there's a little whoop that goes down, and the car can go light here, and so that's where some of that skidding happens. Radeon, good to see you. Noodle, good to see you as well. Awesome to have you. Yeah, G says smoothness is superior in nearly all cases. Yeah, no doubt. Okay. We're trying to, so, you know, we always, especially with all these late apexes, we're trying to maximize our exit speed. That's really what we're trying to do here. So that can be really difficult with late apexes, with turns that are beyond 90 degrees, because we feel like that's slow, but it's actually fast. It really is the fastest way. So we're on full throttle here. We try to stay on the inside of this bollard. We're up to third gear. We get out to here and pretty much, sorry about that, I usually call out when I'm gonna brake. That line that's to the left of yours, that's sort of the brake / turn in marker for me right there. If you see that to your left, maybe you have to back up a little bit.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
So I go down to second gear.
So wait, that's your turn-in marker?
Braking and turn-in, yep.
Braking and turn-in.
Yeah, and braking is probably still only 50-ish%, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go a little deep, let the car roll, trail brake a little bit into this corner here. And then I want to clip the apex with this angle of the car. Again, if you end up getting too narrow, then you're going to end up going wide for this next corner, and you can't keep the speed up, right?
Gotcha.
Sometimes I'll short shift to third because the car can dance a little bit here, but for the most part, we're okay. We brake at the end of this curbing, right where I just passed right there, and we're braking, but we're going out here, second gear, first gear to get it rotated. And once again, we're trying to straighten this exit out as much as possible. Especially on this one because we have one of those elevation changes again, which is really sketch. And the car, a lot of spins, a lot of self-inflicted wounds right here. We're exiting in second. We're tracking over to the left. We're in third gear. Now this we'll stop here for a second. This has no great brake marker for me. I don't know about you. I'm braking generally right about where I am right now, maybe a little bit earlier, and for me it's kind of more when the car ends up being straight. But what I'm trying to do is have the latest apexes of all apexes on this track at this point, basically, because we have one of the longest start-finish straights in the game. We have to have as much exit speed as possible here. So this line almost can never be taken if someone's behind you, because they're gonna dive underneath you and not allow you to really take the corner how you want. So you may have to narrow it some, which is fine in that case. But when we're by ourselves and we're practicing, we're going for this late apex. We're going down to second. We're turning, we're continuing to trail brake, we're going down to first. First gives you that extra little rotation that you want. And no lie, we want to be on the throttle right here. Have to be. For me, this is a non-negotiable. If I'm on the throttle any later than this, I know I've done it wrong, basically, is how I look at it.
Wow.
Yeah, now I might not be full throttle yet. But I'm on the throttle, working towards full throttle. Gotcha. Which is kind of nuts. I can see where I'm pointing. I'm pointing like 90 degrees to the start finish. But that is the aim. I need to start accelerating here. So by the time I get to the apex, I can be full throttle or almost there still and make the corner. Part of that means you need to be comfy with being this wide over here, honestly. You need to be comfy with being over here. Track limits allow you to be there, so you kind of need to take advantage of what the game will let you do, basically. And that's a lap. We spent a good amount of time on each turn, but let's go ahead and try and put this in practice. Our tires are pretty cold right now, so we don't want to push it too much yet. We'll let them warm up. But you go ahead and follow me, and we'll try and put some of these lines into practice, okay?
Sure bean. Cool beans.
It'll be, yeah, about 70% of our speed. Not even going to go full speed here yet. We'll pick our normal braking spot.
Now, one thing I will say is that taking the line that you just took, if I get on the green, my car wants to, it almost like grabs the car to pull it more onto the green, causing it to spin out.
Yeah, that green is almost, I don't want to be on that green either. To be quite honest, that stuff's no good. Other parts where there's green is okay. It's not as dangerous, but that one I try to stay away from if I can. In my best quality time, I didn't go onto that green. Just take it nice and chill still. A little bit of speed, but not crazy speed yet. That was a little wider than I needed to be right there. Here, though, we're going to be nice and wide. Okay. Yeah, Viking says you lose or gain a lot of time in the last turn. Yep. Okay, gonna let off just a little bit. We're not gonna take our full speed into this corner yet. Tires are still a little cold.
Good stuff.
Okay, we lift. Let the car roll. Come back out and forth. Ooh, yeah. You went nice and wide that time.
Yes, I did.
Taking the scenic route.
I lifted, but then I didn't lift.
I see. Radeon says, learn with lead. I can't sleep. Alright, dive in, take a huge chunk out of there, on the throttle, lift, up to second, on the throttle again. Alright, we'll try and up the tempo a little bit.
Led, next lap through, do you mind if I change my tires?
Change your tires?
Yes.
If you'd like, certainly can.
Thank you.
What's up, little one? You just gonna wave? Okay. Got my youngest in here with me for a second. Lift. Full throttle, go. Oh yeah. Much wider than we needed to be there. Okay. I missed it a little bit there.
I'm gonna just pull into the pits real quick, change the tires, and I'll be on my way.
I'll just go in with you.
Only because all the warm-up laps I did previously.
Yep.
I really do appreciate your help today, Led.
This is good stuff, man.
Let's see if we can keep up.
No, I didn't get a 38, Rad. I don't think I'm going to be putting any more time in quali here this week. We're disqualified. Let me have a little fun, G. Let me have a little fun with it, man. All right, we're gonna take it to 90%. Here we go.
Okay, I'm with you.
All right. Don't worry about being too close to me or anything, too. I'd like you to be close, even if we bonk a little bit. That's no worse than what happens in the dailies sometimes, so we're good. Alright, we want to get this weight transferred real nice. Lift. On the throttle, out we go. Straighten the car. Ooh. Missed that braking zone by a lot. I've been disqualified. Okay. I'm gonna keep going around the track though, okay, G?
How come I disqualify coach?
Plankton, what's up, friend? Good to see you, bud. All right, that was fun. How did some of those feel?
They're getting better.
Pretty good. Okay.
They definitely getting better. I do feel I need to take a little bit wider line in some areas.
Okay.
Just to use more of the track.
Yeah. Let's do it again.
First turn, I'm overshooting it.
I don't know why I'm doing third there. Too early. Philip Moore, good to see you, friend.
One lap.
All right. Here we go. Let's do it again. I'm gonna try and be as crisp as possible. I've had a couple of missed apexes there last time. All right. How did that feel right there?
It felt good.
Yeah. Okay, on this straight, let's have you take the lead.
Okay. We call the leader.
Mm-hmm. We're good. Go ahead. Okay. And try to aim for a little bit wider of an entrance there. Bump.
Gotcha.
Nice line there. Nice line through there. Excellent.
Thank you.
Good, good. Nice through there too. That looked a lot better than the previous one.
Overshot.
All right, let's do it again. Okay, so you were narrow that time. I just want to show you how I caught up to you there. I actually could get on your inside because of that. Good weight transfer that time. That was good. Nice through there. Yeah, try to turn in a little bit earlier for that one. We've missed that apex a couple times now in a row.
Okay.
I went on the grass a little bit. I don't advise that at all. All right, apex, apex, apex. Here we go. There, much nicer. Don't be afraid to cut a little bit more speed than that. Oops, my fault, my fault.
No worries, no worries, no worries.
Yeah, go ahead and, for that chicane, be a little bit slower as you pass that first apex, and it will be, oops, sorry, it'll be pretty, it'll set you up so much nicer for the next one after that.
So that last chicane go a little bit slower?
Yeah, so let's go over a couple things that I was seeing here.
Okay.
And we'll get to that part of the track here in a little bit. So for the most part, I think you got turn one almost basically on lock. It looks really good. You're braking at the right time. You're turning later. You're getting that car turned in over like that. That's great. This one, you're doing really well. You're very comfortable with it. Getting that weight transferred. I think you could probably get on the throttle sooner than you think there, just as a quick note. We're lifting here. I see that you're braking out to about here, which is fine, and then you're getting back on the throttle. I like it. This one, we probably need to want to go a little bit deeper than you have been going.
Okay.
My guess is that if I were to see the inputs, and we'll find that out here in a little bit as we do a share screen. My guess is you're on the accelerator later because of that entrance. We'll see. So for this one,
I hit your ass. Sorry about that.
yeah, no problem. Remember, we want to be right about here. We can be under 40 miles per hour, honestly, coming out of this apex. And that's right. That's where we want to be. I think you're carrying a little more speed through here, which it feels fast for apex to apex, but you know where it's really slow is
around the apex.
Is right here. You're too slow here. I'm catching you like crazy right here because of the difference in that line. Okay, so let's go ahead and take the lead again. We'll do this just a little bit more, and then we'll do the share screen and get all that going. Let's do this lap here, see how we go. Good. I went a little bit wider than you, but still looked like a good line from you there. I liked it. All right, let's see if we can sacrifice a... Oh, you on the grass again.
Grass, be that one all off.
Yep. All right, we'll try one more time around.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, here we go.
You okay?
Yep,
Was that my fault?
I hit the grass. I pulled a nug there and hit the grass. Just wanted to see what it felt like, I guess. How did that feel through there, though? It looked like I saw a good bit of braking on the second apex, so I'm guessing we still carried a little too much speed there, maybe? Or what? What do you think?
Maybe. Let me try it one more time. I just want to try to be a little bit more intentional and going slow through there.
Okay.
Because I'm so used to yanking the throttle to get to the apex, as opposed to going like a quarter to a half throttle.
Yeah. And it may be something that I'll be able to see a little better even with a share screen, but we'll try this here and Okay. So you were definitely slow. Whoa. You were definitely slower through there, but we didn't stay enough to the right, so it still compromised your entrance and exit.
Yeah, and I didn't use the brake at all. I tried not to use the brake that time.
G wants me to 1v1 you.
Absolutely.
You want to do it?
Sure.
Okay.
Now, this is the question. Can you get past the Padawan?
Okay. Let's do it.
Let's go.
I guess you get your wish, G.
Remember, you taught me everything I know.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. It's a little bit of a late move there, Nugs. It's all right.
No worries, no worries. I was trying to stay there, but I felt like you had hit my back end and I was about to spin, so I was just trying to stay straight and not spin.
Yeah. Okay, reset. It was tight. It was tight. You want to go again?
Sure. Last time. Good for one lap. Let's
One lap.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Blew it.
Oh, good. Still up there. Still in front.
I tried to use the whole track, but went slow.
Yeah, well, you were. It's tough. It's a tough balance on that last corner. You want to be narrow, to be defensive so that I don't dive in. But you were so narrow that it compromised your exit.
Compromised all my speed.
Yeah, so all I had to do was take a wide entrance, and I had you basically. But all right, let's go ahead and do a share screen, shall we? Good idea, G. That was fun.
All right.
So I'm gonna go ahead and close this lobby. We're gonna boot ourselves out of here.
All right. I'm gonna pause for one moment. Give me 1 second, please.
Yep, not a problem. Oh yes. All right. Good stuff. Okay, everybody watching, we're gonna switch over to a share screen now. We'll get Nugs in the actual daily practice session. and we'll watch his input, see what we see. Just as a reminder that right now Nugs is confined to using a controller, and he can't use manual gearing either, so he uses automatic. So just a quick reminder of that he's dealing with those things, but still manages to be quite quick around here. So what we're gonna do is we'll see what we can see, and go from there.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Nugs is back.
Very nice, very nice.
All right, so you want me to go into sport mode and go into a
Yep.
Gotcha.
Go into the daily and go into sport mode there. And then whenever you're ready, either you can send me the share screen, or I can request it.
Gotcha. All right. So,
Yes, Rad, if you missed it earlier, Nugs was telling us how he had a leg injury, torn ACL and meniscus, and so he's not able to use his wheel, so he's using a controller, and due to finger injuries, he does not use manual transmission either. He uses automatic. Radiana, one of your fellow controller users though there, Nugs.
Gotcha. I'm not sure how to do a
Not a problem.
share screen.
I will request it. A notification should come on your side, and pretty much all you got to do is hit the PlayStation button.
Gotcha.
I just gotta find it myself here. No, that's not it. No.
Oh wait, if you tell me how you just got to your share screen, I can share mine.
So go
I
back.
think you just went.
Yeah, go back to our. You go to the game hub, and then you go to the party that we're on, and then there's that invite players button. Next to that is share screen. You hit that, and you start share screen.
Gotcha. I think I just did it.
Yep, there it comes. And we will now see what you see, sir.
Cool. Hey, party over here.
Right?
All right.
Okay.
So we're going to go into sport mode.
Yeah, correct, Rad. Right? So I do recommend for fellow controller users to watch Raddy on UK. He's quite the quick boy.
Fast.
Yes, he's quite the quick boy.
He's definitely fast. So the next race isn't for 19 minutes. So
Yeah, don't bother. You don't need to necessarily enter. Just go ahead and do the quality time for now. Yeah, and we will have you do a race, but we'll see. We want to take our time with this part. And
do you mind if I grab a ghost?
I do not mind that at all. Let's do it.
So one of the things that I don't do is that typically I don't grab one of the faster guys, because I don't necessarily think that their driving style or their experience is equal to mine.
Sure.
So I'd rather drive someone who is a little bit closer within my wheelbase to follow.
I like that wheelbase. Yes. Oh, and B, would you mind putting in Nugs' channel as well? For those who aren't familiar with Nugs, give him a subscription as well. That'd be great. Yeah, when it wasn't until quite recently that I started to put the top time as the ghost for me to follow. I did the same as you. I would pick a slower ghost just to be able to, because I wasn't gaining anything from it, basically.
Exactly.
No kidding, Rad. No, I haven't seen that one yet. All right, let's check out.
So I've dropped a 148.
Okay, very good.
My time.
Yeah. Let's see how we do. Hey there, HHP. Good to see you. Right now, for those joining in, we just popping in. We're doing a share screen with Nugs. We're just getting on his first lap here now. Yeah, we want to turn later there by a lot.
Turn later on this one, on that turn?
That previous one, yep, by a lot. I like your +4 to the rear though. I feel like that's right. Samo and Siba, good to see you guys. Welcome, friends. Doing a Learn with Lead session right now with Nuganetics. Nice. Close. Okay, yeah. That was a little rough.
Very rough.
Yeah, we got off the line and we were not able to get back. That's okay. There we go. Okay. A 139.6, not bad. Siba, not bad at all. I have a 39.1, by the way, just so you know. Something for you to shoot for, okay?
Let's try this again, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. This is how it be sometimes. It's all right.
I didn't like that turn.
I'm glad you said something, because neither did I. So, after you're finished this lap, I think we're going to utilize a little bit of Apex Visualizer to help us out here.
I don't like this lap. I didn't like that lap at all.
It's all right. When you're ready, go ahead and pause it. Okay. So, you have our stream up, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we're going to look at this right here. So basically factoring in, so the left-hander right after the fast, long right-hander, right? Let's talk about that one for a sec. So that is basically, a, hang on, need to flip this. There we go, okay. So we have, with that, we're basically, it's not 180, it's more like, about like this. In the end, it is a little bit funky, because it's tight, and then it, it rounds out after that. But essentially, we're looking at about that. So let's look at what we're trying to accomplish here with that one. So
wait, bear with me.
Mm-hmm.
1 moment. Let me just make sure I understand the turn that we're talking about.
Yeah, sure.
Are we talking about the turn that we said initially that I can turn a lot later in?
Correct. Much wider entrance. Yep. It's a left-hander.
Much wider and much later. Okay.
Yep. Yep. So if you see my little pointer here on the screen. So what you're doing right now, most times through that corner, is you're turning in about here, and you're diving towards the apex, and you're clipping the apex right about here, which makes you, the momentum of the car is taking you out here. You're not able to really get on the throttle until right about here. Then you're able to turn the car, get on the throttle, and then come out. What we're really trying to aim for is braking longer in a straight line, and then turning in and trail braking off, so that we can be on the throttle actually in this vicinity right here, and the car is pointed towards our exit. Does that make sense there?
I think I'm trying to visualize it. So I'm staying to the right longer.
Correct.
Turning in later. So I'm trail braking longer to turn to the left.
You're max
braking
longer in a straight line.
In a straight line. In order to turn in later.
Correct.
To get more onto the throttle, more full throttle, as opposed to feathering the throttle.
Yeah. So let's look at the different coloring here, for example. So red would indicate max brake, correct? And then we get into orange. So this is our, this orange to this orange before it gets to yellow is like our, it's like our 60 to 100% window. So we're going from 100 to 60% braking. And we're even, in this range right here where it's yellow, we're still talking maybe, technically it could either be the car is coasting there for a little bit, but in an ideal world, we're still trail braking and we're at about, 20% or less in this vicinity. And if we nail the corner, if we've really nailed it, we should be able to transition from braking to throttle without any coasting at all. Now that's perfect. That's unusual, technically, except for the guys who are amazing, right? But that's essentially what we're trying to do, okay?
Okay. Can I see that corner real quick? Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead and look at it. Yeah, you want to stop at it for a second, and we'll go through it, or you just want to go for it?
I just want to go for it. Bear with me.
Yeah, G, I mean, I get you, bud. I was, we had discussed it so many times, and it still wasn't happening yet, so I figured I'd bring the model out just to be able to do it. Nielsen, good to see you, bud. 94 VR. You playing VR? That's awesome, man. Appreciate you coming by. Oh. Now I have the wrong thing up. There we go. Okay, so here we go.
Delay.
That's it. Bingo. Yeah, so you have the driving line there, and I think the driving line is doing us maybe a little disservice in this case. It's helpful in a lot of cases, but you want to be wider than that driving line, and that's exactly what you did there. How did that feel through there?
It felt different.
Okay, yeah.
I do want to try it again just so I remember what I'm doing here.
Yep, let's do it again once we get there. The final turn before the back straight is very much the same. You see where the ghost is too, way out there. Yep, so that's too narrow, even there, because it's making you delay that throttle.
Gotcha.
Yeah, G is suggesting that the driver line is throwing you off. It may be.
Oh, wait, I didn't mean to do that.
That's all right. We can take a little breather. There you go. Yeah, 30 burger. Hello. 30 likes. Thank you all. Appreciate it, friends. Once again, Nielsen, welcome. I don't know if you've been a part of this before, but we're doing a coaching session, live coaching session. We've got Nuganetics as our guest today. It's the other voice that you hear. And we try to do one of these just about every Saturday. Okay.
Oh, let's see what we do here.
Indeed, indeed. Oh, is that right, Nielsen? Awesome. Well, welcome back, bud. Welcome back. Appreciate you, man. I really like your turn one line. It's good.
Thank you. Came in too narrow.
Yeah. Yeah. Got a little antsy there. That's okay. It's tough because there's a lot of new feelings. There's a lot of unfamiliar feelings when we do these types of things. Good. So I think there... Did you end up having to tap the brake so it got into second?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of the interesting aspect of you having to drive an automatic like you are, where you got to do interesting braking things, huh, to make the gearing doing what you want it to do. Photo, what's up, friend? Photo saying hi to you as well, bud.
Hey, Photo, how we doing, my friend?
Good to see you, bud. All right, let's try even a little wider line here. Mm-hmm. It's better.
Not quite what I was looking for, though.
Not quite. Not quite.
Not quite. All right, let's try this again. Let's get it together. No, let's get it together.
And right now, I mean, we're not worried about time. We're just worried about doing it right. Doing it as best as we can. Yeah, very good. Even better than your last one by a 10th. Luis, good to see you, bud. Okay. Yeah. Excellent there. Don't be afraid to get on the throttle a little sooner than that. Good. That was excellent. Much better there. Alright, let's see how we do. We haven't paid attention too much to this one yet. You see the ghost pull away from you there, and I think we need to point a little bit more to the right after that chicane, after the first apex.
Point more to the right after the first apex.
Mm-hmm. Set yourself up
right.
for the left-hander coming out of the chicane.
All right, so give me a second. I just want to get you that to what we're talking about.
Yep, not a problem. It's a lot to take in. Lot we're trying to talk about here, so I get it. It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent there. Really nice. Beautiful. Yeah, look how you can accelerate out that time. That's great. All right, we feather, we come on. Okay. All right, we missed the apex a little bit, but that's still the idea. That's still basically the line.
Later apex.
Yep.
So.
All right, yeah, let's talk about this one.
So I'll come in, right?
Yep.
So when I'm coming in here, right, I'm not going so diagonal, such as this. You want me to turn a little bit more to the right?
Yes.
Like this?
Yes, not maybe that far.
Not that, yeah.
Aim for the middle of the track. Yeah, aim for the middle of the track, basically.
Okay.
Okay, Sari, sounds good, friend. We'll see you later, bud. Wow, you made the game glitch out there for sure.
Hey, I had a whole 59 seconds in front of my time.
You were way ahead somehow. That's pretty hilarious right there. Okay. Well, you let me know if you find a verdict, G. It's okay.
All right, let's go.
Maybe. Oh, goodness. Yes, sir. Over 10th and a half gained on that. And make sure we're turning right earlier than that.
I blew it.
It's okay.
Completely blew it.
Right.
But this is the turn I want.
Right. Okay, that's the idea. Just you can turn left a little sooner than that. I don't think we seriously need to do that, BL and Octia. It's not something we need to do.
All right, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go.
So something that I'm noticing, Nugs, just as you're going down the straight, is the lack of smoothness on braking. And I realize part of that is a little bit of the controller, and you have, it's just a finger, so you can wiggle that thing a whole lot. And I think that might be hampering your braking a little bit. I know some of it you're doing it to get the gears to go, but I'm seeing perhaps that's not only necessary. That's right, G. That's exactly right. Yeah, that was too early. So you weren't able to really get on the throttle till well after the apex there.
Gotcha.
Now this is actually we're on a good time though because you've taken some sectors really nice here. We're not worried about that yet. That was better.
It felt better.
Yeah. Wait, when you can exit and be close to full throttle or full throttle, and there's really no drama from the car, you know you've done something right, basically.
You mean drama like that?
Drama like that, yes. Oh, goodness. Very nice. Ads, what's going up, friend?
Right on cue.
Yep, we spoke it into existence, I think. Great.
Oh, pause. Let me get into a race so we don't miss the 90-minute little marker.
Are you sure you want to do the 410?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay.
I want to honor your time. I don't want to monopolize it.
Oh, we're good.
Oh, it's over.
No, you just need to hop back in. Yeah. Oh, it's not even. It's actually a little too early. We can wait 58 seconds.
Yeah,
Get a little
wait 58 seconds.
Little drinky.
So, the two takeaways that I'm taking away right now in regards to my driving, and I'm going to address something that you said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
A, that left-hander, a later apex.
Yep. So you can carry that speed through there. Yep.
So I can carry more speed.
Mm-hmm.
Two, on the, I guess I want to call it the last chicane area.
Mm-hmm.
Don't aim for the apex. Aim more for the middle of the track to be able to carry more coordinate speed around the apex.
Yeah, and let me bring up the visualizer for that too, because I think that might help you as well. So you can see it from an overhead view here.
But I'll be honest with you. I think that why I do that is I'm so used to racing this track that I'm so used to having to defend that apex.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I race to the apex as opposed to racing to a smoother line, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you look at the screen on our stream here, so it's not a perfect replication because
But it's the concept.
It's the concept. Yep. So we're breaking in a straight line, and then we're diving towards the apex, and you can see actually here there's a little bit of green right here, a little bit of throttle, but
they're actually missing the first apex. To almost get to second apex.
Yeah, and that doesn't quite translate really. If I were to mimic the chicane at Fuji that we're talking about, we're cutting the crap out of this apex right here. We're probably going in a little bit earlier, and that's because the first part of the chicane is much tighter than the second part, which is much more open and forgiving, to be honest. But you can see, the key part that I wanted to show is how we're at the middle of the width of the track right here to set up for this exit.
And I'm coming a lot more further over to the left.
You're coming in right here to the left, having to wait for the car to turn, and then you're on the throttle out here instead of back here, basically. Make sense?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I think it makes sense.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. All right, let's see what we got.
Yep, let's go ahead and give it a go.
Now, with all of that being said, Nugs, don't be doing too much though you're on camera. Look, Ma, I made it.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. But while we have a little bit of time, it wouldn't be a Nug stream without asking you a question. Do you watch basketball?
Not a whole lot anymore, no. I used to, I was watching more in the 90s.
Okay, great. I'm glad that you heard that. Watched it in the 90s. Who's the GOAT? LeBron or MJ?
You know I'm gonna say MJ. You know I am.
You disappoint me, lad.
We've already
You
had
let
this
me down.
discussion, you know. We've already had this
You let me
discussion
down.
via chat.
You let me down.
Yeah, I know.
So I'll ask you the same question I asked people last night.
Yeah. Oh, did it come up again last night?
Yes, it did. It comes up regularly in the Nug stream.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, name the players that have scored at least 40 points against every single team in the NBA.
Don't know who they are.
There's only one, LeBron James.
Oh, is that right?
End of discussion.
Photo is saying, thank goodness. I'm guessing Photo's an MJ supporter.
Yes, he is.
Oh, and we got 40 likes. Thank you there for the 40 likes, friends. Throw up that 40 burger emoji, folks. All right.
I like to say that Photo is an MJ delusionist. Because MJ fans are delusional.
Okay.
But let's lock in.
Good, good. A little early.
I got to stop turning in early.
Yeah.
There.
It's okay.
And you know what? I'm going to trash this lap because I want to talk about that turn for a minute. And I'll explain to you why I have a tendency to turn in early there.
Yeah, talk to me.
All right, give me one moment. Let me get back to that turn.
Sure. That was a good, what you just did there, that turn there. That was nice.
Thank you, sir.
Little lift, yes. You can turn left a little sooner to clip some of that apex, but that's it. That's it right there. Oh, where? I didn't see that.
I didn't see it, but it is what it is. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about qualifying. I just want to learn.
Yep, yep.
Hey, what led?
Aha.
It's an aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
So bear with me just one moment.
Yep, we're almost there.
So what I have a tendency to want to do on this turn, if I hold on, reverse, where's reverse? Now you doing the most. All right. So what I have a tendency to want to do instinctively is when I'm taking this turn is to lift, right?
Lift where?
And then a little bit further back. As you guys see, Nugs does not race going in reverse.
That's what we find a lot when we do these sessions. I don't either, so we end up crashing into stuff. Okay.
So I typically want to lift here.
Okay.
And I'll try to carry the corner speed here to really get up on this green part here. As opposed to being further out to the right. So, like, again, what I've kind of out of habit have done is try to get that apex and get up on that green right inside the ballard, where right now you're asking me to come come out here, brake later, and then more turn in here.
Well, not quite that late.
Well, not that far, but and then get up on here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think also one of the reasons why I have a habit of wanting to do that is that many times and that's why I asked you where was the track marker.
Yeah, the limits.
Because a lot of times I've come up on here and picked up a penalty.
Gotcha.
So out of force of habit, have tried to narrow that out, so I'm not so close to that area.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Who would ever know I'm 28 seconds in front of my time?
Right. Amazing.
All right. Whoa, 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 turn, baby. And then you're saying here, definitely turning late.
Yeah.
A little bit later.
I think your tires might be cold right now. From being still.
Well, you know, I'm an 80s baby, so we can warm it up.
That's right, baby. Yes, we can.
Will you be doing your open lobby races today?
No, I think I'm going to shut it down after we're done today.
Okay. I definitely want to honor your time. Let you spend some time with the family.
Not a problem, bud. What we do here, what we're doing. Excuse me. Some... Mm-hmm. Turn in end of the black skid mark. I think I've seen that, Rad. I think I've seen that spot there. By the way, friends, just as a reminder, so this is Nugs' secondary account, the one he has in B right now. And technically, Nugs is an A driver, although he has fluctuated somewhat sometimes between A and B, and one of the things he wants to really attempt to do is be A and be able to stay in A, and then have his eyes set towards A+. And we'll talk a little bit about that after his race as well.
All right, warm up lap. Get the warm up lap in, and then take a real lap.
Yep, just turn left a little sooner. See, the difference there is you're getting the car pointed where I'm telling you. You're just hanging out there a little too long, is all.
So, from a sports performance coach's perspective, you know what you just told me?
No.
That Gran Turismo is my second sport. Meaning this, I had to think through racing. I can't play off of instincts.
Gotcha.
So I'm thinking through those turns as opposed to instinctually reacting to the actual course.
Well, I would say, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily put it in those terms exactly. I think for racing, there are certain things that come naturally to a player, and there are other things that don't. Unless, let's say, the person is a super novice and nothing is coming naturally. They're so used to their arcade racing game that they don't know how that translates into a sim like this, you know. So, but here's what I find is that you know how, and maybe the folks in chat will understand this too. There are some tracks you find that you're better at than others, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And why is that? Well, it's because there's a track there that is that's exactly it. You followed the ghost perfectly.
Was that better?
Look at that. Oh my gosh, you jumped 0.3. Just like that. That was great.
I got happy.
So what was I gonna say? That really threw me off there. That was awesome. Yes. So when there's a track that you can't seem to find the pace at, it's probably exposing weaknesses that you have. And Fuji is like that, because Fuji is one late apex after another, after another, after another. And if late apexing is not something someone's accustomed to, or maybe not something that a racer understands the need for, then you end up not doing it quite right or quite naturally. And some people just use chase cam because they're used to arcade racing games. Are we gonna fight today, G? What's going on, man? You know I've tried the other race cams, but hey, I'll tell you what. I'll announce this part now. So for whenever we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna do a bunch of stuff I'm not comfortable with, and using other camera views is gonna be one of them. Definitely gonna do that. I'm also gonna use controller too during 1,000 subscribers. So that's part of our celebration. It's gonna be fun.
I got excited when you said controller.
As a newer driver and not much time at Fuji, I'm struggling here. Yeah, Blankenship. No, I hear that. I hear that. Fuji is a different kind of animal.
Came in way too narrow, but time's up anyway.
Okay, I'm glad you noticed that. That's good. It's really important to be able to mark, you know, what did I do not quite right here? How did I end up losing time in this spot? That sort of thing. Got to be able to identify those things.
Well, I think I definitely have a lot to walk away with and practice. So let's go.
Yep. All right, friends. Get a chance to watch Nugs do a race now. He's smack in the middle of the pack. Is that Joe Collins up at the top? I think it might be.
Maybe. I don't know anybody in here. Uterus and
Race
beef.
Ventura. No. All right, Nugs.
So one of the things I always do, whoever's in front of me and whoever's behind me, I always acknowledge them.
Indeed.
Just in case. Just, hey, how you doing? Hey.
Right. I'm a human. I'm a real person. Please don't murder me. Very nice. All right, so real quick, I was just gonna say, so I try not to talk too much when this stuff is going on. But I'll give you suggestions. I'll give you attaboys. A little strategy, maybe, if necessary, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
You know,
I may try kind of ignore it only because I'm going to try to lock
focusing. Yep, I understand.
Yeah.
Understand. Yeah, I'm not going to be offended if you don't reply, so don't worry about that. All right,
let's go.
So you know the racing lines and you know the defensive lines, but definitely, you know, one of the biggest things that's going to help you is when you're ahead of people and you have some gap, you know, 7/10 or more, keep to those racing lines that we've talked about, because especially in a B lobby, you'll pull away from them. They won't catch you.
Gotcha.
GP says he's raced Meat Beat before. All right, good luck. Here we go. Yep, nice. Had to wait up there. It got tight quick. RHK, good to see you, friend. Good adjustment. That was tough. Good adjustment. Yep, nice line there. Way to give no quarter to that Merc behind you.
Y'all can play y'all games up front. I'm driving in a straight line.
Right? I love it. I love it. That's how we gotta be. Okay. Oh, yes. Let's make a nug sandwich. Nice cutback. I love how you... Where did he go? Oh, there he is. He's on your inside. I love how you set yourself up for that cutback. That was brilliant. He lost it. Okay. LVP with the 40 burger. Thank you guys. Appreciate it all. Yeah, we must have just got the 40 burger. All right, yeah, take a breath on the straight. A few new things, yeah. Oh, like new games. Is that what you mean? Potentially. All right. Oh. Interesting. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I like that. Ooh. Good catch, good catch. Heck of a drive so far, Nugs.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Okay, let's brake, brake, brake. Yeah. All right, maybe scrub a little speed going into this. Make sure we don't. All right, there we go. It's okay. He just beefed. Hmm. G, being behind this AMG reminded me of your This car smokes 3 packs a day. Oh dear. Yeah, I agree. He did squeeze him real good into that turn. All right, Mr. Dude. Oh, he's getting hit from the other guy now too. Maybe that's how the first one happened actually. Or maybe he just doesn't care. Wow. All right. We've been mistreated. Chances are he and someone else are going to get into it. Yeah, he left it open. Just make sure you brake early enough. Yep, good. Tough to hold that there, being so narrow. Nice. You took that narrow line to be defensive, but you still managed to carry great speed through there.
Thank you.
And you pulling away from the guy behind you, which is what we want. Well, brave dude in the Mustang there. Okay. Middle here, middle. Yep. Excellent. Good catch. Nicely done. Nicely done. That was nerve-wracking for sure.
That's what the daily race is.
Yeah, man. No doubt about it.
All right. Critiques, coaching. I'll say the replay, so if you need me to go back through anything.
Okay. No, I don't think so. I mean, you know, I've gotten a chance to watch you race a lot already, so, you know, to me, what happened here was vintage Nugs. You have such great track awareness and positioning. Sometimes I think maybe we go a little too defensive, and not that you don't have to defend, but sometimes I think maybe you go a little narrower than you need to.
Gotcha.
And so, because you still want to have some type of entrance
Corner speed.
that works. And so, you know, the way you handled that last lap, I would say, is pretty great.
And if I was to be honest about that last lap, I went a little bit much more narrower than normal because Rafa hit me, and he hit me 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit more personal. Like, if you're going to get past me, you're going to have to punt me.
Right.
Didn't necessarily want to put him in that position, but I was a little bit irked, if I had to be truthful.
Well, yeah, no doubt. And thankfully, you know, he finished behind you where he belonged, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, you definitely, you know, you weren't even that wide when he pushed you away around, but he ended up, you were making sure that if he hit you, it was going to be from behind, not from the side, which you managed to do that after you got by him. So, yep, photo says LaGuardian.
That was, hey, you taught me. Between you and Dave, you guys taught me.
Yeah.
Know, I would watch Dave and race Dave in the lobbies, he would always dive bomb me, and it would irk my soul. Like it would really irk my soul. Like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
Why does he keep dive bombing? And it was that he was trying to get me to start to guard, my position.
Yeah.
Value
it. Yeah.
Watching you and talking about, guarding the apex at all costs, as if your life depended on it. And I do believe that was a quote: "Guard the apex like your life depends on it."
Yeah, I think it's in writing, actually.
I have
on the PowerPoint.
I've taken that to heart. Yes. So
Yeah, so let's go over it here a little bit. While we're doing this too, so I want you to watch, not necessarily now, but in a little bit, once things die down, because this is going to be kind of hectic here. But so we started in 7th, finished in 6th. A whole lot happened, honestly.
Now, we'll be honest, there was one point going through that last chicane, I had to slow down a lot because there were cars in front of me.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah, bottlenecking in some places. This is a great job not hitting Goat Gunner there. Been really easy to hit him there. It was nice track, nice car control there.
Yeah, the AMG was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah. And things simmer down a little bit. This is when people want to do the weaving and the wobbling. Yeah, I think they make a move on you here. Yeah, you end up defending. But did we go too deep? I can't remember. He went too deep.
Yeah, undercut him.
Yeah. That's right. It's up on your inside. Very nice through there. You went there at your slowest were 98 miles an hour. That's very nice through that spot.
Here, I was scared that Christian was going to come in and hit me getting back onto the road.
You weren't able to really maximize the exit speed through there, which is a bummer. Whoa. Losing it again. He's got dirty tires. That's probably why there. Can you go back to the exit of that chicane for me? And then I'll need you to pause it pretty much right at the exit, and then we need to see your inputs. The next corner, sorry. End of the chicane coming up. A little bit more. Right there. Let me see if it worked. Go ahead and let me see the inputs. Hit O.
Hit O.
Yep. Do you see where you're steering right now?
I'm steering at the building.
Yeah, but look,
that's not where the turn is.
Yeah, so look at where your steering wheel is pointed at the moment. You see the red dot there?
Oh, yes. I never knew that that's what that was.
Yep, that's your turning indicator.
Okay.
If you were to go into cockpit view, you'd probably see it better too. You could just see the steering wheel. And yeah, we're turning to the left. So this is something that I noticed, and I just noticed you did it there, but I noticed while we were doing the share screen too. So
it should be turned either straight or to the right, because that's the direction I'm trying to go to.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is a tendency that a lot of racers can have. In the effort to not go wide, we're turning maybe too much or for too long. And for some folks, that can end up introducing power oversteer because we're turning too much for too long. And I think that's what ends up happening. We end up losing the car a little bit here, if I remember right. If you want to go back to your normal camera view. Let's see. Yeah, let's go ahead and look at it. No, we didn't. But it sacrificed the exit speed unnecessarily. Gotcha. There is an aspect, and especially, if you want to stay, if you want to stay in A on your primary account, there is a level of having to be comfortable with going wide. Not too wide, but go wider on the track on the exits.
Gotcha.
It's definitely an element that separates drivers that are B/A and drivers that are A and stay there, and then beyond, obviously. What it's doing is one of the easiest ways to scrub speed is to oversteer. Just oversteer the wheel, basically. Over steering too hard, too long. And it might not feel like it scrubs much exit speed, but it really does. And then it can also narrow your exit so much that you're not carrying as much speed either. So you can be lower by 1 mile per hour to 3 miles per hour on exit just because of that little thing there. So
understood. Because you can't necessarily be on full power and turning at the same time, unless it's going to push you out wide on the apex.
Yeah.
Which is just lengthening the amount of track that you have to cover.
Yeah, so if you wouldn't mind going back to that spot again, and let's take it from, yeah, if you just want to ooch it forward. Oh, that's fine too. Just go ahead and let it play and get right to the right when you touch that second apex. Pause it. Okay, now go ahead and ooch it. Yep, little by little. I'll tell you when to stop. Keep going, almost there. Almost there. Okay, stop and let's see your inputs. All right, so you're all the way to the left. You see that on your steering wheel, on the indicator there? You can be nearly straight at this point.
Gotcha.
And yes, that'll take you to the next set of curbing, and you'll be close to that bollard, but that is actually and not only that, maybe ooch it just a little bit more again. Just yeah, go a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Doot. Keep going. Okay, let's see that. All right, yeah, you're on your way on the throttle, and this is tough because we're kind of nitpicking here and being very precise. So, but just demonstrating this a little bit very clearly, we can be basically almost straight and be more on the throttle. So, and this does come with being on a controller some. There's definitely yeah.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Because when I'm looking at this, just from, again, I'm only looking at this clip, this specific clip. I'm not looking at my corner entry.
Yep.
But if I were to just look at this clip, I would assume, and I could be wrong,
yeah,
that my corner entry was wrong.
It was
Because
okay.
if I look at this, if I were to get on throttle right now and drive straight, I would drive straight into the grass to the building.
Yeah, well, that's why I say
So
almost.
I feel like my car should have been turned more to the left, which I think that's what you were getting at when you were telling me to be more in the middle of that chicane and turn left sooner.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Correct. That's exactly right. Now, I think in this scenario, go ahead and go to the car behind you. Yeah, so you were still dealing with this Mercedes who's already he's already, you know, messed with you a little bit.
He was there.
Yeah, so I think you were driving a little defensively here, which I think is fine. You want to make sure he doesn't get any ideas of just dive bombing you. So but what you're saying though, in you know, when you're by yourself, that's exactly right. You're looking, if you want to go back to yourself, you're looking for that.
So I want my car to be a little bit more aimed toward the left, so that almost aimed toward that Ballard, so I could be more on throttle.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly the idea. You're able to get on the throttle more powerfully, sooner, with less steering input. I love what G says. He mentions this a lot in chat, where you're at your fastest when you are barely steering. Basically, is the idea. The less steering you do, the smoother and the faster you're actually being at that point. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff. Real quick, RHK. No, I do not. Gran Turismo 7 is pretty much the only game that I'm doing this for. I don't have time for those other games, to be quite honest. If this was my full-time gig, yeah, probably would do all the racing games and sim racing games that were out there. But no, this is the only one I do. Okay, let's let it roll some more.
And to be honest, I don't know what necessarily happened, but I felt like I could have caught these two. But I think I got too busy dealing with what was going on behind me and just lost time.
Yeah, and that's a tough balance to achieve in the middle of a race. Something else that G tells me a lot too, especially when I'm doing one of the league races, is eyes forward. Stop looking behind. Stop worrying about the dude behind you. It really isn't until someone is very close that you should really worry about the person behind you. And by really close, like in cars that go this fast, like 3/10. If they're farther than 3/10, don't bother with it too much. Yeah, maybe be a little defensive, but don't let them dictate how you race at that point yet. You know, it really is still run your race.
Got you. I think this is the lap where I slowed down for these two.
Yeah, coming up here in the chicane. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I kind of
you're getting a run.
Distance.
You're getting a run right here.
But yeah,
you had to lift there. Well, he kind of he was a little. That was a little sketch that he kind of went over and blocked you.
Yeah.
That wasn't the coolest.
And that allowed the AMG to catch back up.
Correct. Yep. So now you're narrow. You probably, again, you know, right there, that's probably an area where you didn't need to be quite as narrow. Yeah, let's look at that again. Let's look at it from his perspective too, I think. Right here. Yeah, let's look at it. Go to his view. Yeah, so you can kind of be more where he is, honestly. You're at middle of the track. You could definitely be. You have like what, 2.5 car widths over to the left that you could have been. Not that you want to be all the way over there, but that's like where you are in the track as far as that goes.
Gotcha.
This to me compromises too much exit speed. Because look where he's pointing now. Look where you're pointing.
Gotcha.
Which again, tough to balance. There's no doubt about that. Loses a little bit there. Hey, Parquet, good to see you, friend.
And I intentionally went narrow here.
Yeah.
In order to try to.
I think that's a good move. That gets Rafa up here.
But yeah, I got so busy dealing with them that I lost sight of the cars in front.
Yeah, which was a bummer. I think you were definitely on track for battling for a podium there. That's okay. That's how she rolls. And he's keeping you narrow. And he's setting this up kind of perfectly. And that's
yeah, he did.
That's racemanship right there. I mean, I made that word up, I think, just then. But you can't be mad at that. That's actually just strategically using your position to your advantage. Props to him for being wise enough to use it, honestly. I think G remarked about that live on race when you were racing as well. Yeah, this guy. I wonder. So, I think that's the time you lost it that I was thinking of. Let's pause it there and see your steering input.
Where do you want to see my steering input?
Same spot where we were last time. Second part of that chicane on exit. Let's ooch forward. Oochie, oochie, oochie. Okay, right. A little bit more. Right there. See the input? Yeah. Can definitely be starting to straighten up.
Actually, when am I starting to straighten up?
Yeah, not yet. Okay, you're just starting to come off fully. But yeah, the car's not going to like it, which is why it's going to give you the shimmy shakes. But yeah, I mean, right here, you can be straight. We agree on that, right? Like, you can be totally straight, and you are still turning way over there.
Yeah.
Now, part of that, I think, if I remember correctly, the controller, it delays the speed of the wheel, correct?
That I don't know. I don't know if there's a delay between my input and the actual wheel itself.
So like, for what I think there is, like, so if you were to use the controller and be fully to the left and then went immediately fully to the right, so we're talking like on a steering wheel, you know,
correct.
180 to 180, like immediately, I don't think it's going to go that fast. I think it delays it some. To give you
honest, I don't know.
Yeah, I believe it does. And so that's something to factor in a little bit when you're using the controller in that regard.
Gotcha.
Blankenship got into the 40s. Nugs isn't the only one gaining the knowledge here. That is the idea. That is the idea, Blankenship. Yeah, go ahead.
What I will say is this. You called it. If you watch, my car does snap. I do oversteer if you watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See that slight oversteer?
Yep. And which, that's a rough time for that to happen when you got Rafa breathing down your tailpipe.
Yeah.
Three wide, that's fun. Yeah, he wasn't the coolest. Is that right, Photo? Tough. It's a tough track, man. Really is. Joy Shock, joystick. It could be either one. Yeah, this was great.
So I slowed down a lot here because I didn't want to, you know, hit the guy right in front.
Well, right before braking, you are, yeah, you hit 163, which is a couple miles per hour more than you would if you were using your braking zone by yourself. And that's all that extra overspeed from the draft. So you had to brake a little earlier. I think I even said in the middle of it, make sure you brake earlier, if I remember right, because otherwise you were going to plow into these folks. And you managed to not do that at all. Really, you handled it really well, and you still kept Rafa behind you, I think. Nito, what's up, friend?
Yeah.
Good to see you, bud. Yeah, buddy. Yeah,
because to be honest, too, on that turn, I thought that Rafa was going to try to brake early and undercut me. And that's why I stayed so close on that apex.
Yeah, you needed to. Yeah, if you had gone deep, he very well could have done that. And yeah, you managed to not let that happen. And that is protecting the apex, friends, right there. For reals. Their slow entrance there, it looks like slowed you up too, big time. Because you were right there, and then go back. I just want you to go back to that turn right there and pause it at the apex. Yep. That's good right there. I bring this up because what you just did through this sequence is a perfect defensive line with maximum exit speed. So you didn't go all the way to the right in order to prepare for this left-hander, but you really couldn't because you have an eager beaver behind you, right? We've seen it already. So the fact that you kept the car, let's say mid-right in the width of the track, and your entrance to this was perfect. This is exactly where you want to be. Because now you can see your exit. You're on the throttle right here. You're engaging it right there. And you're at the apex. You've gotten pretty much the maximum entrance and exit speed you could possibly think of right here. If you don't mind, just take it back 10 seconds and watch it play through again. Yeah, let's do it. He's using a little third gear action. He doesn't want to go too wide. That's brilliant. Is that right? Yeah, G. Oh, for sure.
And I went super defensive here because, again...
Yeah, to me, that's too narrow by quite a bit. But I know who you're dealing with, but even so... he didn't even go as wide as he could have. He has about 3/4 of a car width that he could go to the left. Maybe more. Yeah, he's got a whole car width, basically, he could go. He's adjusting to your line, I think, now, but he's actually slowed himself down with that. That's good. Look, I just want, yeah, the way you carried the speed through that corner there, the left-hander, that was great. Right, G? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, no, that's not what I'm. What?
Oh, we're
What are we
going
doing?
everywhere. Is this me when I do it? This is the kind of control I show when I'm doing a replay.
Oh, what I will tell you is this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna pause.
Okay, BL. Sounds good.
All right. So basically, from this point on,
Mm-hmm.
in all honesty, and I could be wrong,
Yeah.
I feel that I'm faster than those two cars in front of me.
Yeah.
What you taught me was to be patient and not try to do too much.
Yep.
So that's one thing that Racing Essentials has taught me.
Yeah.
Is in order to finish first you must finish. So just be patient. And granted, I didn't gain any positions, but
no,
it just taught me how to be patient in all of this and not try to do too much.
Yeah.
Because in here, you know, in the past, I'd have been like, hey, I'm going to get this position.
Yeah.
And I, you know, I was content with being where I was at.
You were, I would say this, you were positioned to be able to take advantage of someone that maybe had a little more of a slip up in front of you. If there's one large enough error by either of those two, you can capitalize on it. Which Shibs tried a couple times in the Mustang there, it looks like, but just didn't quite work out.
And I will say that on this exit here, I did try to get a better exit to try to get to 5th place.
Yeah.
So I actually did try to get a better exit to get on the throttle a little bit faster to try to get out of there. But, you know, he did a great job.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. I agree. Cool, man. That's cool to watch it back like that and go over a few things. So as we come to the end of our session here, let's talk about a few things, shall we? So
sure.
So one of the things that let's recap a couple things. So we talked about not being too afraid of going, you know, tracking out wide, which means looks like straightening your wheel sooner is going to make I think a pretty big difference as far as exits go. Don't be afraid to get onto the curbs. Yeah, some curbs, you know, Dragon Trail for example, those curbs are lethal. So, you know, not and some of the curbs at Spa where it gets on the green stuff, they'll spin you out immediately. So I get that, but you definitely want to be able to straighten sooner so you can get on more power sooner. So you end up with that greater exit speed. You follow me there?
Yes.
So that's definitely a takeaway I would get from this. Smoothness on braking is another one that I think we need to focus on as well.
I don't know necessarily how to be smooth on the brake when I'm pulling on a trigger.
Yeah. Well, I know it's possible because I've seen Radeon do it. He's on the controller and he is doing that as well. I think that he's not able to drop the automatic. So that's not possible. If you ever, and Nugs, are you planning to get on the wheel again at some point? Is there a plan to be able to do that?
Yes. I actually plan on testing out the wheel relatively soon just to see how my leg feels.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah, so G, maybe you missed it, but you know, Nugs is dealing with some we'll just say limitations as far as what his body is allowing him to do. So there are those things to factor. So I think that roll your finger down over the trigger. That's a good point. Wait, no. Roll your finger down.
I think I understand what he's saying.
Oh, okay.
Instead of pulling on the trigger, let my finger slide.
Interesting. So, I guess as far as the trigger is concerned, the braking one, you know, you're trying to let off gently as you go into a corner. Max braking in a straight line, but what I'm seeing while you're turning is a lot of brake fluttering, a lot of flickering, as far as, and it can be very fast. In fact, I think
that's how I trail brake.
Yeah,
on the controller.
Right, and then that's technically not trail braking, to be quite honest. So when you're trail braking, you're going from max brake to no brake, and there should be, in a perfect world, there should be a trailing off of the brake power until you get to that 0 point. And what that does is it keeps the weight of the car on the tires that are gripping as you're going into the corner, and that means that you have that grip that you need the entire time. That's what trail braking is accomplishing for you.
Gotcha.
And that might not be something that you need to implement, especially if you end up if you end up being able to get back on the wheel, but that would be something to recognize, is, when you're back to using your feet for acceleration and pedals, and braking rather, and using the pedals, be able to gradually come off the brake, letting the car go into the corner with all the grip that gives you. That's going to be the fastest way you get into the corner.
Gotcha.
Photo asks a question that I'll answer right now. Led, what's your opinion on the red braking lines and assists? So I kind of categorize those assists as track assists. So your driving line, your driving markers, your braking area. I'm not too fond of the braking area myself. I think it's good to start. It's not a bad thing to start with. But, I do believe that once you get to a certain level in this game, you have to wean yourself off of the assists. And there, Photo uses the exact word. And so there's, I understand, especially for like somewhere like Nords, where if you're not familiar with it, what in the world is happening next? Do I brake? Do I not? All that kind of stuff. But for a regular track, which takes 2 minutes, to go around, maybe less, I feel like you should rely a little more on the braking markers that you put out there for yourself. But that's me, and I'm never opposed to assists in general. I think that it's something that it helps you in the game, and you got to use them right. They can't be a crutch. Traction control can sometimes be a crutch that you rely on that actually is just saving you from your mistakes rather than making you faster. So you have to watch out for that.
Agreed.
So, and then, yeah, that's basically my take on that for that photo. That's a good question. Thanks, man. G says it's super cheaty. It's red stripe. Yeah, it's true. Well, I find it a little disconcerting because as you're approaching the corner, the braking area expands as you're approaching it. And usually it's not even that accurate. I think you could say that. I could see you, Nugs, even you were braking way later in some cases than the zone was telling you to.
Correct. So what I say to that is I don't necessarily use the braking markers as a place to brake.
Mm-hmm.
I do use them in context of an object that I'm looking for. So, like, say for example, if instead of me having a braking marker, I'm looking at the 150 pole mark, right?
Yeah.
The 150 mark is still a braking marker. In my opinion, it's still a braking marker because I'm looking for something to, for lack of a, I guess you would say to let me know when to brake. I don't necessarily want to use that because, like you said, I'm not braking. Very rarely am I braking where the braking markers are. But to me, it's easier to see those than to see something off to the side.
Sure.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And you can, I've seen people, they're still fast with using that assist. So it's not a deal breaker. It's just, I think you do have to, only the person using them can really know this for sure. Is it making you make the wrong decisions, or is it making you make the right decisions? Is it making you brake too much? Is it making you brake too little? Those are the kind of things that you'd need to evaluate. So, yeah,
Understood.
Good stuff. That's
and
really.
Like you saw,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, and like you saw, I did take off the driving lines, and even on the race, there wasn't a driving line on.
Yeah.
So, to be honest, I don't use the driving lines. I just never turn them off.
Yeah, gotcha. Yep. Okay. So what else I was gonna say? Let's see. So we talked about trail braking, trying to be smoother on the brakes. G just mentioned he looked them up, and there are extenders for those. He says might be a good investment. It might give you more travel, more touch, and more feel. But again, if you're gonna be on the wheel pretty soon, then that might not be necessary. But Photo says he was addicted, couldn't remember to brake without it, so no more. Gotcha. Yeah. And so so the last thing I wanted to talk about was how you mentioned you wanted to you really want to be able to be in A and stay in A, and then have your sights set beyond that. And so what that's going to take, is going to be pretty. It's different. Most people can get to B without too much struggle. For the most part, it might be a struggle, but people can normally get there on their own. It might take a little bit more to actually get out of B and stay out of B. And so it kind of takes a little bit of a deliberate approach. And so I guess I would ask this of you, Nugs, on a normal week where you're able to put the time in that you want to put in to the game, how much time do you spend qualifying?
During the entire week? So Monday through Friday? Friday, I would probably say I probably spend about 5 hours. So probably about an hour a day before racing.
And what kind of time are you attempting to get in relationship to your competitors?
So typically, I am trying to be within the top 15 to 20 of my friends list, which are typically where, most of my A drivers are. And typically, I'm trying to be about no more than 2 seconds off the fastest time.
Okay.
So I would say roughly it'll put me around the top 22,000, 2,500.
Yeah.
Roughly.
That sounds right.
So typically those are the times that I'm trying to do. What I will say is I will spend more time qualifying if I'm realizing that come the daily race, I'm in the bottom 8. So once I realize that I'm consistently in the bottom 8, it's time to stop racing and work on that time.
Agreed. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah, for sure. Now, when you're in an A lobby with some A plus sprinkled in, I'm guessing with that goal, you were probably finding yourself more often in the bottom 8.
So what I have found is this: racing on my main account, which is A.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intimidated when I see a lot of A plus drivers in there.
Yeah.
So normally it goes, I turn it on, I see the lobby, it's 6, 7, 8 plus drivers in there. I'm like, yo, why am I in this lobby?
Mm-hmm.
You know, then I'll get to racing and I'm able to keep pace with them. I'm like, oh, okay, I got this. I can hang with these guys.
Yeah.
But initially, it can be somewhat intimidating and cause a little bit of anxiety.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I remember very similar things when I was getting to A and starting to establish my A rank, was getting in there, and I expected, okay, I'm going to be in a lobby full of A rated drivers. And no, there was a bunch of A pluses sprinkled throughout the grid. And I'm going, I didn't sign up for this yet. I don't belong here. And I don't know about you, but for me in the beginning, when I was in those, all I could think about was, okay, I gotta be fast. I gotta be fast. I gotta be fast. The only way I'm gonna hang with these guys is if I gotta be fast. And you know what the number one result is when all you can think of is be fast? You're slow.
Yeah.
You're slow.
Slow is fast and fast is slow.
You're slow. If all you can think of is I gotta be fast, I gotta keep up, I gotta keep pace, that's not gonna work. I One of the main things to do when you get to A rank and you're trying to hold that position at least is you need to continue to drive within your limitations. Drive within the limitations of the car. Drive, do what's repeatable and comfortable.
Gotcha.
It might be slower than most of the people on track that you're with at first. But that's what practice is for. So when you're practicing, you're looking. It works for you, G. Well, that's good for you. When you're practicing, you're looking for those ways to get those tenths. And yes, when we practice and when we're on the track with the race, it is different. That's the way Gran Turismo works. Is when we're practicing, we don't have any tire wear and we don't have any fuel weight, right? So, we're kind of at this weird disadvantage when we get onto the track when we do have tire wear and we do have the weight of the fuel. But so we're probably never going to be as fast when we're on the race as when we are practicing. But the things that you're learning about the car and the track when you're practicing, they still translate to the actual race. So I would encourage you to really see when you're practicing, you need a keen eye to where you are not keeping up or you're losing time. You use a ghost now, so pay attention to when that ghost really pulls away.
Correct, which is why I changed how close the ghost is to me.
Yeah.
Because if the ghost is too far, if I set the setting that the ghost is too far, I'm not able to really get that true indication.
Mm-hmm. Can't see it.
So for me, I find it the closer my ghost setting is to me, the more I can actually see where he's leaving, where I'm losing time.
Yeah. Yeah, and so for example, for this one, I was noticing a huge gap after that chicane. That was something that was tipping me off that you were taking that in kind of a slow fashion. And actually, I noticed it too when I was practicing early in the week. Man, I'm losing all kinds of time to this ghost sit here. What am I? And for me, it was I was being too conservative on the throttle after the first apex. I wasn't getting on the throttle hard enough to get to the second apex. So I was trying to be too careful there because I didn't want to spin, but it was costing me a lot. So, yeah, and here's and I think I told this to Saragon too when he came on a while back. because he's A and he's looking to get better and all of that. And I think that a big um a big factor to this is not letting the nerves come in, not letting all of that happen, and really focusing on your time alone on the track, so that you may have to spend many hours. So I'm gonna give you a new goal to set. So you said you're looking to be top 2,000, top 2,500, right?
Yes.
In the world, trying to be with
Yes.
it, about 2 seconds off the top time in the world.
Yes.
I want you to narrow that down. I want you to be top 1,500, and I want you to shoot for 1.5 seconds off the top time in the world.
Wow.
I want you to shoot for it. Now, that might take a long time to get at first. That doesn't mean that you don't race or anything like that. That doesn't mean that you don't ever get on track until you get that time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm saying throughout the week, that's what you're shooting towards. And here's the benefit of that. If you focus enough on what you're doing on track to get closer and closer to that level of time, the result is gonna be, how to take each corner just that little bit better than what you do at your current objectives. You follow me there?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's gonna be critical. Now, that might mean that you have to qualify and work on your qualifying throughout the entire week of those dailies. That might be the case. And you
Gotcha.
sprinkle races in here and there as well, because you want to mix it up. But I think that's valuable. But here's the encouragement. Okay, so when I was A ranked and I was looking to get better and improve and all that, it would take me exactly what I just told you. It would take me all week to get those kind of times that I was trying to accomplish. Guess how long it takes me now?
How long?
Monday. Done. And
Wow.
but that doesn't, I'm telling you that not to like brag on myself, but I'm telling you that's achievable with the practice put in, is what I'm trying to get at. Now, there are some weeks I put my time on Monday and I don't touch my quality the rest of the week. Sometimes I'm not satisfied with Monday and I'll hop back on and try and get it later. Like I did that this week. I felt like I could get more out of Fuji. So I worked on it Thursday and I did drop my time. Well, I changed cars and I dropped my time by 0.6. So that's cool. But, at the time that I put up on Monday was 800 something in the world. And then the time that I put up on Saturday was 524th in the world at the time.
Oh, wow.
It's not that now. And that's after, each of those sessions were like 45 minutes to an hour or something like that is what it took to get me to that time. And
Gotcha.
and so that's what I would say we all want to be working towards. But the only way you get to that point where you can put up that kind of time in a short amount of time, not that many laps, is by putting the practice in now so that you can reap the benefits of it later on. You know what I'm saying? So, who is that? I think I'm hearing, am I hearing Eric B?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'm hearing Eric B in the background. So, that would be my goal for you. Now, there might be some weeks where you can't do it, and that's okay. It might not happen. But I would say a key element to this, Nugs, is to at the very least, if you can't execute, at least be able to identify what you should be doing in order to get the time. Even if you can't execute it, you need to at least know it. Okay? if you know it, and what's that now? Is knowing's half the battle. Is what it said, right? So,
Yep.
um,
Understanding is the other.
yeah, exactly. So those are my takeaways. Anything else from you?
No, not outside of, just thank you so very much for taking the time out of your day. And thanks for your expertise. And definitely going to work on those things. And, at the end of the day, the things that you told me about the late apex, there's a lot of tracks that have late apexes, and it doesn't just apply to Fuji.
True.
It applies to like Trial Mountain. There's a late apex in there. So it's something I can walk away and not just work on this week for this track, but work on period just for a lot of tracks.
Yeah, no doubt, no. And there are late apexes that have larger radiuses than these. So it requires a wider entrance carrying more speed into the apex, that sort of thing. Yeah, no doubt. It's though that element, and just think of this basic principle too. Always remember this when we get the new dailies on Monday, and you're looking at them and you think about, okay, what do I want to do? Pretty much every time you have a turn that's over 100, or sorry, anytime you have a turn that's over 90 degrees, it's a late apex. That's essentially true across the board, unless there is something a little different, like a chicane, like the chicane here at Fuji, where you actually,
that's the last one.
You actually turn in a little bit earlier because you're trying to set up for the next turn, and that's
the second one.
Yeah, and that's the only time that pretty much doesn't apply, is when your first apex is really just to set up for your exit on the next turn coming up after that. So yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah, it's important knowledge to take with you so that you can better attack tracks that come up in the future.
Understood.
Yeah, man. Cool stuff, man. Well, I know you thanked me, but I want to thank you as well. You were an awesome guest. You did not disappoint in any shape or form. Appreciate you so much, Nugs.
Well,
you're yeah.
I might have disappointed because we were supposed to have more LeBron James MJ banter.
Oh, is that right? No, I kind of shut that down, didn't I?
Yes, you did. You were not entertaining the GOAT foolishness.
I was staying on point. I was staying on topic today.
I got you.
Oh man, love you, Nugs. Yeah. You're a friend. I consider you a good friend, and I'm happy to share the track with you today. That was a lot of fun, and doing this with you. This is what it's all about. It's good stuff, man.
Gotcha. Well, likewise, love and appreciate you, and you have a great afternoon.
All right, man. You too. I'm sure we will see you soon on a track or a chat or a stream coming up shortly.
Absolutely.
All right, my friend.
So,
I will.
God bless you. Have a great one.
You too. We'll see you soon. All right.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Ah, there we go, friends. That is another Learn with Lead in the books. Thank you both for the help. Always good to chat. Yeah, man. You too, Blankenship. Appreciate you, friend. It's good stuff today. Fuji is a weird one. I don't think there's any other track in the game that's quite like this, where it's so many tight corners back to back. Really have to late apex after late apex. It really does feel slow. But that is the case with all late apexes, no matter what the turn is. I'll bring this up really fast just for everybody who's looking right now. And oops, that's not it. We do that. Oh, that was wrong. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's fun. I'll get good at this one day. So, yeah, real quick, just to see a little bit more what we're demonstrating here. We have, so we have, here's a 45, right? Here's Here's a 45. And even with the 45, you know, we're turning more before the apex than we are afterwards. We're really straight, you know, more not straight lining, but it's more straight after the apex here. And then as we get to 90, you know, even here, this is a little funky, but even here we're putting more weight on the tires, getting the outer tires loaded with the weight so that we can boot it out of the corner like that. And then as we get beyond that, then you can see how it ends up becoming more and more of a late apex the larger we go. And it's what happens is this portion right here feels really slow. But when you've trail braked properly through here, this is absolutely the fastest way to get through a corner. Even when it's like this, still, this is absolutely the fastest way to get through a corner because you can get on the throttle sooner, and that's why. That's how that works. Do it daily? No, I cannot. I have been on long enough already, unfortunately. Gee. So no more dailies for me today. No more dailies for me this week. But Monday, the dailies, they will be new. They will be for real. Oh, not yet. Sorry about that. I keep doing the wrong screen here. I'll get decent at this. I know I will. For certain. There we go. That's where I want to be. Yay. Now, no dailies today. Just all about nugs. Thank you, Photo. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, that's how we roll. So we'll be back on Monday. Probably only 2 streams next week. A lot more going on than this last week. So probably Monday and Saturday. Gotta get in contact with who's next on the list. Let's see, who should they be? Let's take a little look-see here. Oh, it's another good friend. I'm not going to tell you who now, though. Sorry. Because actually, he might not be available. So we always got to schedule these up first to make sure. So we'll schedule it up and see about that. So it'll be a good time. Yeah, I mean, if anything, I might do a shortish stream on Tuesday. Very short, maybe a couple hours. That would be the only thing I could see maybe changing. So, but man, Nugs was awesome. Love that guy. Wish I could do a learn with lead, but with 0 time on GT7 completely fresh. That would be fun. You keep talking about how you're gonna pick up a PS5 and pick up the game. Well, not a bad plan. So, all right. I think that's going to do it for me, friends. Been quite the day. Very full day. Time to not have so much activity. I think I'm going to get some rest. And we'll see you guys very shortly on Monday. Appreciate all of you hanging out with us today, all your interaction, all of you guys that hung out and chatted and saw nugs, and it was great. Love you all like crazy. Not a thing you can do to change my mind. I'll see you guys soon.